Thank you for choosing us. We are streaming on YouTube at ABC News Ghana. Now the news in detail. In the lead up to the 2024 general elections, the pressure on the government to fulfill its social contracts and obligations to various labor unions seems to have intensified over the past few months. The apparent difficulty of the government in fulfilling its social contracts related to wages, working conditions, and other critical employment benefits to labor groups has often been responded to with agitations, potential legal suits, and in most cases resulted in industrial actions by labor unions. The mounting discontent among labor unions resulting from government's failure to meet its commitments raises concerns about the stability of industrial relations in the country. In a latest development, three teacher unions, the Ghana National Association of Teachers, the National Association of Graduate Teachers, and the Coalition of Concerned Teachers have issued a 3-week ultimatum to government to address their long-standing grievances. In a press statement released on Tuesday, August 27, the unions outlined several unfulfilled promises by government, including the initiation of negotiations on the deprived area allowance by the Minister for Education within 1 month of signing the agreement, a resolution on the promotions of deputy director to director positions by September 2024, the correction of salary disparities for deputy directors and below in the Ghana Education Service, and the delivery of TM1 laptops to all teachers whose money was deducted. Moving on, the Minister for Employment and Labor Relations, Ignatius Bafwewa, has said that creating more sustainable jobs will help reduce unemployment rate. It will be recalled that the Ghana Statistical Service recent report on unemployment pegged youth not having skills, training, and unemployed at 1.9 million. The minister, who took his turn at the Ministry of Information weekly media briefing, noted that job creation is a collective responsibility.
The more and more we get many Ghanaians in the classroom, Ghanaian children in the classroom, in the way we are removing them from issues of child labor. As we speak, the data available to me tells me that about 98% of Ghanaians who are supposed to be enrolled in primary school are enrolled. The number can even be more. Those who are supposed to be in junior high school, about 95% of them are there. So a bit minimal. Perhaps one other thing that we have not succeeded in doing is to contextualize child labor within our cultural setup. The more and more we get many Ghanaians in the classroom, Ghanaian children in the classroom, in the way we are removing them from issues of child labor. As we speak, the data available to me.
Away from that, the Forum for Accountable Governance has petitioned the Office of the Special Prosecutor to investigate the $245 million expenditure on the 13th African Games held in Ghana from March 4 to March 23, 2024. The group, led by convener Kwame Owusu-Danso, raises concerns over potential corruption, procurement breaches, and lack of transparency in the allocation of funds. They are particularly concerned about alleged conflicts of interest involving politically exposed persons and the payment of $3.6 million to the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation for coverage of the event, which GBC refutes, stating they received only $105,000. Mr. Danso expressed confidence in the OSP's ability to conduct a thorough investigation, emphasizing the need for accountability in the use of public funds. Well, let's take a look at the petition by this group in detail. These are the details of the petition. This is dated August 26, 2024, and it says, "We, the members of the CSO Forum for Accountable Governance, petition your office to conduct a comprehensive investigation into the entire $245 million expenditure for the 13th African Games held from March 4 to March 23, 2024. So let's take a little background on the 13th African Games. Well, there were significant international events which was hosted by Ghana, requiring substantial financial investment. However, concerns had been raised about the transparency, accountability, and value for money in the use of public funds. Well, there are also concerns about procurement-related breaches, conflicts of interest, and other forms of corruption in the disbursement of the monies. And they firmly believe that this request falls within the operational mandate. And as such, the investigations into this matter will save the dear country a great deal. Well, this is the request they are given for investigations to go on. They are saying that they request the office to investigate the entire $245 million expenditure due to the firm's suspicion of acts of corruption and conflicts of interest, which includes the vendors, and 2, contract awards and payment to vendors, 3, quality and delivery of services and goods, and also the potential conflict of interest and favoritism, and also compliance with financial regulations and laws. So these are the specific areas of concerns that they are looking at. 1, they are saying the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation payment. They want the OSP to investigate a $3.6 million payment to GBC for production and broadcasting rights, which includes the discrepancy in payment amounts and the outsourcing of technical production. 2, they also want them to investigate the food expenditure. That is the $15 million expenditure on food for 5,000 participants for 18 days, which includes who was giving the contract for the food and also the breakdown of the cost per participant per day. They also want to know the quality and delivery of food services. 3, they want to also find out the media accreditation and investigate the amount stated for media accreditation for the games, including 1 who was awarded that contract, and the breakdown of the cost of $4.6 million, and also quality and delivery of services. They also want to find out about vendor payments. They want investigations to be done on the payments to all vendors, including those providing services for venue preparation, security, transportation, and accommodations. 5, they also want to find out the expenditure management to investigate the overall management of the $245 million budget, including any potential mismanagement, waste, or corruption. Well, these are the timelines. They are saying that from March 4 to March 23, 2024, that was when the 13th African Games was held. And from March 13, 2024, they are saying that $1 million was paid to GBC. May 22, 2024, an additional $1.5 million was paid to GBC. June 10, 2024, GBC Director General states GBC entitled to $1.5 million. And on July 15, 2024, the GBC Director General clarifies outsourcing. Well, in conclusion, they believe that a thorough investigation should be done into the entire amount that was given. We have Adam Sananu on Zoom to have further conversations with us on this. Thank you for joining us here on ABC News.
And thank you for having me.
Well, what can you say about this latest development? It seems it's becoming more of a scandal in the ministry.
Well, yes, until we get all the facts, but the preliminary looking at the data, when you divide food spent on 5,000 people and you get something like 2,000 cedis or 2,500 per head, it begins to tell you something is wrong, especially when that's per day. So we definitely need some drilling down as to, are the numbers right? Is it 5,000 people who were fed? Is this the overall figure for the period? Is there something we are not seeing? Who received these contracts? How come they seem to be way, way, way above what would be expected normally? And who should we be holding accountable if indeed the people of Ghana have been fleeced of resources? So yes, on the surface of it, the figures are not adding. The inconsistencies tell you something may have gone wrong. And an investigation hopefully will help us to get down to the bottom of the matter.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Well, he just gave us an update on the OSP and some of the things that has been happening with respect to the 13th African Games. Well, let's move on from that to elections 2024 and let's assess the campaign strategies of both the NPP and the NDC as the political campaign season has taken an unusual turn as the major political parties, the NPP and NDC flag bearers, continue swiping at each other. This strategy has seen the two leading candidates in the 2024 presidential elections, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia and John Mahama, call each other out, sometimes with funny descriptions and names. This has raised concerns among political watchers and experts, with some describing the strategy as absurd and ineffective. But would this strategy make a difference for either candidate? Samuel Nyumabo has more details on this. Thank you for joining us here on ABC. Hello, Adam.
Can hear you now.
If you can hear me, how significant is this petition in the broader context of anti-corruption efforts in Ghana?
Well, I think it's very important. The more we have civil society and citizens picking on issues that come up and following up using the legal processes to hold accountable duty officers and responsible parties, the more it is that our democracy is coming alive. And one of the major gaps we find at the moment is that we haven't adequately sensitized or educated citizens on their responsibilities under a democracy. If you take a look at Article 41, we have a responsibility to defend the Constitution and to fight graft, clearly stated there in Article 41 as one of the responsibilities of citizens. But very few citizens, most times when I ask, 9 out of 10 people don't know they have obligations under the Constitution, which includes defending the Constitution, which includes reporting and fighting any graft that robs the state of resources. And so kudos to this group for taking the issue up rather than just the talk, because often we just talk and we do nothing. These days we say, see something, say something, and do something. And I think that they are following that principle.
But what are your expectations from the OSP investigating this $245 million expenditure, and how crucial is transparency in this process?
Well, I am quite confident the OSP has demonstrated themselves as a good partner in the anti-corruption fight, at least under the tenure of the current special prosecutor, Mr. Kesi Agyebeng. And under the law, Act 959, they report back to the citizens every 6 months, which means that maximum within 6 months, we should get some feedback. In this instance, I think that if the report is available, perhaps it shouldn't take more than 3 months for them to get back to us relating to their initial findings. I'm expecting they'll be able to identify the service providers, look at the invoicing and the contractual arrangements, and get back and tell us whether invoices were inflated, whether we had value for money, because if you're spending about 2,000 cedis a day per person, that is obviously way bloated than would be expected under normal circumstances. So getting back to us about the people who provided the services, what invoices they submitted, and whether these invoices were bloated invoices, and therefore who we should be holding accountable, be my expectations.
Okay, so if evidence of corruption is found, what could be the potential consequences for those involved, and how might this case influence future public spending in Ghana?
Well, I expect that the prosecution will proceed and that the persons found culpable will be sanctioned accordingly. If they are jailed, that will set a good precedent. Every time we have cases like this where we can identify people who have done the wrong thing, and we do it publicly, it sets a precedent. It strengthens the fight against corruption because people begin to see this as high risk. The kind of thing, if you do, you might get arrested and jailed. So if we're able to find people culpable, sanction them, jail them, retrieve any monies we need to, that will certainly strengthen the fight in terms of the public confidence that things are being done to deal with people who are doing the wrong thing.
Okay, so if I heard you right, this is a step in the right direction.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you so much, Edem Sanano. He is an anti-graft campaigner, and he joined us to speak more on a group that has petitioned the OSP to find out about the expenditure on the 13th African Games. Let's move away from that to some election-related stories, as the flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress, John Mahama, has pledged to establish dialysis centers in all 16 regions of Ghana if he wins the upcoming elections. According to him, setting up dialysis centers in every region will help alleviate the difficulties faced by patients who currently have to travel long distances for treatment.
Currently, most of Upper West, my own hometown, Bole, and other places, if you have a kidney ailment, the only place you can go for treatment is in Kumasi. And you have to go with your wife, your family, you have to find a place to stay. It is a burden. And so we want to make sure that every region has a modern dialysis center so that we can.
Meanwhile, some renal patients have expressed concerns over the cost of dialysis treatment at the Kolebu Hospital, which goes for 800 Ghana cedis per session. The renal unit of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital was recently shut down due to a delay in the clearance of consumables at the port. The development triggered the patients to picket at the hospital as their lives depended on the treatment from the unit.
I'm from Chile. Anyway, I always been coming to dialysis 2 times in a week. Every week, right? So I heard that they have locked units. That is the reason why I came. They are really open. They locked it, but they are really open. That's why I see whether they are doing their work.
Patients Anan and Gladys Ahiakpo, both kidney patients, sorrowfully recount the intense pain they have to endure at each session, which they still subscribe to.
Because we are suffering. As a kidney patient here myself, I'm suffering. It's not easy to be there and you've not got dialysis. Because the pain alone, I can't say it. So what we are pleading from the government and the ministry is that they should prioritize our health. It's not easy being a kidney patient. For the past 4 years since I became dialysis, I'm not unique. That goes for many other people. So the dialysis is our only source of excretion. So if you deprive us from it, it's like indirectly you are telling us we should go and die. Now we can't even buy our blood pressure medication because it has increased. Yes, strong. 5 months spend a year more inside. Yes, strong.
Still on the same beat, let's take a look at the NHIA free dialysis program breakdown of the 6 providers. That is Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital, Cape Coast Teaching Hospital, Effiang Kwanta Regional Hospital, Ho Teaching Hospital, Tamale Teaching Hospital, and Kolebu Teaching Hospital. The authority has so far disbursed a total amount of 1,588,565 Ghana cedis since its inception in June to these 6 hospitals. The latest payment of 1,001,329 Ghana cedis ensures that the health facilities are adequately funded for the dialysis services rendered during July and August. Additionally, this amount includes an advance payment to cover services expected in September. But before we take the amount disbursed to the various hospitals, let's take a look at the background of the NHIA free dialysis program. Well, this is there was an introduction of free dialysis coverage for some vulnerable patient categories, and this was approved by Parliament within the NHIA's allocation formula for 2024 and was initiated in June this year. Well, some selected healthcare providers were to receive payments for treating dialysis patients up to the tune of 4.4 million. This move is also part of an effort to enhance access to and affordability of dialysis treatment for patients in Ghana. This is by covering the costs associated with these life-saving treatments. So the National Health Insurance Authority aims to reduce the financial strain on patients and ensure continuity of care. Well, let's look at some of the beneficiaries of the National Health Insurance Authority free dialysis program. So patients aged 18 and below and 60 years and above will receive all 8 free dialysis sessions per month. Also, patients aged 15 to 59 years seeking treatment at Komfo Anokye Teaching Hospital, Cape Coast Teaching Hospital, Efia Nkwanta Regional Hospital, Ho Teaching Hospital, and Tamale Teaching Hospital, except Korle Bu Teaching Hospital, will receive 2 dialysis sessions per month. When it comes to adult patients between the ages of 19 to 59 receiving treatment at Korle Bu Teaching Hospital, they will receive a subsidy for 2 dialysis sessions per month, and NHIA will cover 50% of the cost of the 2 sessions. Well, the hospitals will manage the funds and ensure that all patients who may have paid out of pocket during the month of July and August be fully reimbursed according to the approved amount for the various categories. Well, let's take a look at the disbursement for the various hospitals. Taking a look at Korle Bu Teaching Hospital, in the month of July, they have been given 79,051 Ghana cedis. And in the month of August, 79,051 Ghana cedis, and also in September, 84,051 Ghana cedis. So the total amount that has been disbursed to Korle Bu Teaching Hospital for the month of July, August, and September is 163,102 Ghana cedis. Well, let's take a look at Tamale Teaching Hospital. In July, they have been given 28,478 Ghana cedis, and in August, the same amount of 28,478 Ghana cedis, and also in September, the same amount of 28,478 Ghana cedis. The total for the 3 months, July, August, and September, is 56,956 Ghana cedis. Let's take a look at Cape Coast Teaching Hospital, and that's the Central Regional Hospital. In July, they have been given 41,753 Ghana cedis. In August, they've been given 41,753 Ghana cedis, and in September, the same amount of 41,753 Ghana cedis. The total amount that has been disbursed to the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital for the 3 months, July, August, and September, is 83,470 Ghana cedis. At Komfo Anokye Teaching Hospital, July, 90,835 Ghana cedis. In August, 90,835 Ghana cedis. Same in September, 90,835 Ghana cedis. The total amount is 186,670 Ghana cedis. Let's take a look at Efia Nkwanta Regional Hospital. In June, 16,694 Ghana cedis has been given to them. And in July, 16,694, same as August. The total amount is 33,388 Ghana cedis. Let's look at the Volta Regional Hospital. In July, August, and September, they've been given an amount of 73,650 cedis each month, and the total is 147,300 Ghana cedis. The grand total of everything for all the various facilities is 1,01,329 Ghana cedis. So that is the disbursement and amount of money that has been given to the various hospitals for the NHIA free dialysis. Still on the health sector, let's take a look at the two major political parties, the New Patriotic Party and the National Democratic Congress. They've all through the launch of their manifestos made their intentions clear on the roadmap to ensure that the health sector looks convenient for workers and all stakeholders to prevent the emerging brain drain on our hands. Some of the policies, though, look the same, but in different wording. The question is, how would these promises see the light of day without adding to the already challenging gaps witnessed across the country? Let's listen to what Mahama has been saying. Well, let's take a look at the similarities in both manifestos from the NPP and the NDC. But before I do that, let me just mention some of the highlights of the NDC 2024 manifesto. They said we're going to remove on health. They said they're going to remove taxes on essential medical supplies for dialysis and also establish a cancer and kidney disease trust fund to support afflicted Ghanaians who need assistance. Well, these are some of the similarities between the NDC and NPP manifestos on health. On the NDC, they said they are going to introduce a vehicle tax waiver scheme for health professionals under a well-regulated system, and this will enable them own vehicles for easier transportation. And this was found on the page 43 of the NDC manifesto. Looking at the NPP on the same side, they said they are going to offer incentive for healthcare workers to buy one vehicle each with engine capacity of up to 1,800 cc. And this is to motivate healthcare workers and provide incentives for purchasing vehicles. And that was found on page 26 of the NPP's manifesto. Back to the NDC manifesto, they said they're going to reward healthcare workers who accept posting to rural communities and undeserved areas with a decent rural allowance of 20% of the basic salary and shorter service periods for promotion and steady leaves. This is also to attract and retain healthcare workers in rural communities by offering a decent rural allowance and shorter service periods for promotion and study leaves. This was found on page 44 of the NDC's manifesto. On the same side, for the NPP, they said they are going to ensure the compliance with the existing deprived area incentive package for health workers. And this is to ensure that health workers serving in deprived areas receive the incentives they are entitled to. This was also found on page 26 of the NPP's manifesto. On the NDC side, they said they are going to provide scholarship opportunities for nurses and allied health workers to pursue PhD level education. And the NPP says they are going to enhance incentives for public health workers in rural or deprived areas or designated areas of need. And that was found on the page 161 of the NPP's manifesto. Still on this, the NDC said they are going to ensure the prompt posting of trained health professional, and this is to reduce delay and optimize healthcare delivery, and it was found on page 43 of the NDC manifesto. On the same, the NPP said they are going to recruit more doctors, nurses, and other healthcare professionals with improved conditions of service, and this is to attract and retain more health workers by offering improved conditions of service, found on page 161 of the NPP manifesto. Lastly, on the NDC side, they said they are going to provide affordable accommodation within the premises of health facilities and offer home ownership schemes for health and other workers. This is to support their housing needs, and found on page 43 of the NDC manifesto. On the NPP side, they said they are going to partner with real estate developments, including state housing and TDC, to provide housing schemes for healthcare workers. Well, these are some of the similarities between the NPP and the NDC manifesto on health. Still on election 2024, the political campaign season has taken an unusual turn as the major political parties, the NPP and the NDC flag bearers, continue swiping at each other. This strategy has seen the two leading candidates in the 2024 presidential elections, Dr. Muhammadu Bawumia and John Mahama, call each other out, sometimes with funny descriptions and names. This has raised concerns among political watchers and experts, with some describing the strategy as absurd and ineffective. But would this strategy make a difference for either candidate? Samuel Nyimabo has more.
Do you remember the 2016 elections when the politics of name-calling became a theme, when the word incompetent became a household name in the mouth of the then opposition NPP. A similar situation is repeating itself in the 2024 elections. This time around, both the NPP and the NDC are countering each other with campaign tours and engagement. The two parties have taken similar tours across the country within the same time frame, launched their manifestos within a week interval, and the NPP counters the NDC's manifesto launch with the Meet the Press session. Key among the strategies is how the two candidates cannot have a campaign tour without taking a swipe at each other. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, at both the manifesto launch of the NPP and the Meet the Press session, couldn't leave out Mohammed's name or the NDC.
The former president, when he should know his own record. Former president. If he hasn't read, he clearly does not understand. He needs to get an understanding, and he should know these things. He should know these things. Former President Mahama, the former president.
This, the NDC flag bearer, didn't allow it to slide as he took a swipe at Dr. Bawumia in his recent tour of some constituencies in the Greater Accra region.
If there are people who are smooth talkers, who can speak rat-tat-tat-tat-tat like machine gun, the time when they become stammerers and they start stammering, you know they are lying. Somebody who can speak ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta like AK-47. Suddenly media encounter, I think,
But what do Ghanaians make of these strategies from the two parties and their recent manifestos?
I don't understand about the NDC, their manifesto. For teachers and nurses, if you accept that you're going to go to the rural area, they're going to give you 20% of your salary as allowance. What if they send you there and there's nothing there, like you don't have the equipment to work as a nurse or a teacher? I think that one, I don't second about their manifesto. Yeah. So this year, I don't think I'll vote.
Two parties, you know. Young boys are women, so young one toy. And this is one manifesto now, more candidate. And the more candidate be a batch. The young say, I'm a baswa. The Babason obey the Yakuma Betoy. Put two parties in the two parties in the young Philobia. You know,
Matemi, you know me, but this is for the name press in the pa. This year, me to a banopa, me jinamu.
Minim dia me vote ya man yeah metu aba
dia metu aba se bia general ayenzu ye be hwede.
Away from election 2024, let's do some business now. The Ministry of Food and Agriculture rolled out a series of urgent measures to address the severe drought currently affecting the northern part of Ghana. The announcement comes as farmers and communities in the region face significant challenges due to prolonged dry spells that have threatened food security and livelihoods. In taking some immediate measures to mitigate the situation, the Agri Minister announced a temporary ban on the export of grains. This, according to the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana, will rather intensify the cost of livelihoods of its members. We'll be back with more stories after this break. Thank you for staying with us. Let's do some more local stories. The government has declared its intention to introduce new electric vehicles as a measure to control the high cost of transportation in the country. Flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, at the manifesto launch of the party on August 18, 2024, indicated that the next NPP administration will prioritize electric vehicles as a means of reducing the cost of living through transportation in the country. However, in his recent Meet the Press encounter, Dr. Bawumia announced that 100 electric vehicles will be brought into the country before the end of the year. But what becomes the fate of the already existing non-electric vehicles for state transport companies? Samuel Nimabo has more.
In 2003, former President John Agyekum Kufuor inaugurated the Metro Mass Transit Company. This was an additional measure to supplement the state transport company to provide safe, affordable mass intercity transit for Ghanaians. Despite millions of cedis of investment in their two ventures, the companies have faced several challenges, including a lack of steady financing and a poor maintenance culture, leading to huge losses for the government. A 2021 Auditor General report, for instance, indicated that Metro Mass Transit failed to pay dividends to SSNIT, its parent company, for 10 years in a row. As an additional measure to improve intra-city transit, former President John Mahama launched the Bus Rapid Transit System, known as Ayalolo, in 2016. However, the 742 million investment in the purchase of 245 buses and infrastructure to run the buses have been wasted away. Currently, the company ran less than the initial 68 buses used for piloting, while the rest waste away. While calls have heightened for the government to pay attention to these already existing state transport companies and ensure proper maintenance, the Vice President and flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, says they will focus on electric vehicles to reduce the cost of transport.
You're right. One of the ways that we want to reduce the cost of living is through bringing in public transportation, the electric buses. And, so that is what is going on. We are bringing in about 100 to start with to essentially do the pilot for it.
The question, however, remains whether electric vehicles will be the antidote to Ghana's rising cost of transportation, or they will end up becoming a white elephant, as did with the Ayalolo buses. While the world is moving towards electric vehicles as a measure of reducing greenhouse gases because of their low cost, Ghana must begin to address key issues such as poor maintenance culture and a lack of an implementation plan. Samuel Nimabo reporting for ABC News, Ghana.
The National Democratic Congress, NDC, has announced its intention to prioritize national security as it gears towards implementing its flagship 24-hour economy policy. At a media briefing by the party's 2024 manifesto sectorial spokespersons in Accra, the spokesperson on security and member of parliament for Wa West, Peter Tubu, said to achieve this, the party has outlined a comprehensive security plan, which includes recruiting 25,000 additional security personnel to bolster the nation's security forces, introducing community policing initiatives to foster closer collaboration between law enforcement and local communities, and upgrading ICT infrastructure to enhance intelligence gathering and sharing capabilities.
We will develop a comprehensive security and safety program to support the implementation of one of the most famous, if not the famous, or the STAR program or policy of the NDC government come 1st January 2025, the 24-hour economy policy. We're going to recruit 25,000 officers, 25,000 men to add to the existing strength so that we have the capacity to police the policy of the 24-hour economy. We will ensure merit-based, transparent, and decentralized recruitment and promotions in all security agencies in line with the HR gap analysis. I'm sure you heard recently that they wanted to do a recruitment for 11,000 people, and the story cannot be told in this room. But when we come, we are going to decentralize the process and make sure that it is transparent, equal access to equal opportunities. On the implementation of community-based crime prevention programs focusing on high crime areas by enhancing police presence and patrols in neighborhoods and public spaces. I'm sure in
The lawmaker further emphasized the establishment of specialized hospitals for security personnel and veterans, recognizing their unique needs and sacrifices, adding that the party's dedication to ensuring the safety and well-being of both citizens and security personnel, paving the way for a secure and thriving 24-hour economy. Let's do some sports now. Ghanaian international Jordan Ayew, who recently joined Leicester from Crystal Palace, made a memorable debut by scoring a stunning goal in the 38th minute. Ayew's powerful drive from the edge of the box proved too much for Tranmel's goalkeeper, Joe Murphy, giving Leicester a commanding lead. Ayew's debut goal and overall display demonstrated his potential to make a significant impact for Leicester City as he settled into his new surroundings with a bang.
Oh, but just that final pass is letting them down.
Ayew goes for it. Oh, brilliant. An absolute rocket from Jordan Ayew. making an immediate impression on these.
The Ghana Football Association has announced a substantial increase in prize money for domestic football competitions totaling 2,006,000 Ghana cedis. The increased prize money will be distributed across various leagues, including the Ghana Premier League, Division 1 League, and Women's Football. GFA President Kurt Okreku emphasized the association's commitment to recognizing excellence and motivating clubs to achieve success. The exact breakdown of the prize money was not disclosed, but further details are expected as the various competitions are launched. The increase in prize money is aimed at raising the level of competition and improving the overall quality of football in Ghana. Away from sports, let's take a look at what is happening on the international front. The race for the 2025 African Union Commission chairperson is intensifying, with several prominent candidates emerging from across the continent. The AU Executive Council has emphasized that it is East Africa's turn to produce the next chairperson, setting the stage for candidates from the region to lead the organization. Former Kenyan President Raila Odinga is a front-runner, having garnered endorsement from a range of African nations, including Ghana, Central African Republic, Guinea-Bissau, Equatorial Guinea, Zimbabwe, and Djibouti. Djibouti's President Ismail Omar has publicly backed Odinga's candidacy, and other notable contenders include the former President of Madagascar and Jakaya Kikwete, former President of Tanzania and the AU's High Representative for Libya. Meanwhile, Somalia's Fawzia Youssef Haji has withdrawn her candidacy and thrown her support behind Odinga. Seychelles has also entered the race with a nominee, though details remain under wraps. In the meantime, North Africa is eyeing the deputy chairperson position, with Morocco and Algeria reportedly considering their candidates. The competition is heating up as Africa watches closely to see who will emerge as the next leader of the African Union Commission. Robert Kennedy Jr., an independent presidential candidate in the U.S. election, suspended his independent presidential campaign and endorsed Donald Trump. Kennedy encouraged supporters in 10 swing states to back Trump while leaving his name on the ballot in traditional red or blue states. Trump welcomed Kennedy's endorsement, praising him as a great guy and acknowledging the potential impact on the election. Kennedy's decision to remove his name from battleground state ballots could potentially hurt Democratic nominee Kamala Harris, as some of his supporters may have been inclined to vote for him rather than her. Americans will head to the polls in November to elect the next U.S. president. The vote will be closely watched around the world. They will also be voting for members of Congress who play a key part in passing laws that can have a profound effect on American life. Here are the most important tidbits you need to know about the U.S. elections. So the Americans will head to the polls in November to elect the next U.S. president. The vote will be closely watched around the world, and they will also be voting for members of Congress. So this is what you need to know. When is the next U.S. presidential election? Well, the 2024 election will be on Tuesday, 5 November 2024, and the winner will serve a term of 4 years in the White House starting in January 2025. The president has the power to pass some laws on their own, but mostly they must work with Congress to pass legislation. Who are the candidates and how are they nominated? The two main parties nominate a presidential candidate by holding a series of votes called state primaries and caucuses, where people choose who they want to lead the party in a general election. In the Republican Party, former President Donald Trump won his party support with a massive lead over his rivals, and he became the official Republican nominee at a party convention. For the Democrats, Vice President Kamala Harris is closing in on the nomination as she joined the race later after President Joe Biden dropped out, and Kamala Harris appears to have unassailable support within her party. There are also some independent candidates running for president, and that included Robert F. Kennedy, and who is also the nephew to former President John Kennedy. So what do the Democrats and Republicans stand for? Well, the Democrats are the liberal political party with an agenda defined largely by its push for civil rights, a broad social safety net, and measures to address climate change. The Republicans are the conservative political party in the U.S., also known as the GOP or the Grand Old Party. It has stood for lower taxes, shrinking the size of the government, gun rights, and tighter restrictions on immigration and abortion. Well, how does the U.S. presidential election work? Well, the winner is not the person who gets the most votes across the country. Instead, both candidates compete to win contests held across the 50 states. Each state has a certain number of so-called electoral college votes, partly based on population, and there are a total of 538 up for grabs, and the winner is the candidate that wins 270 or more. And all but 2 states have a winner-takes-all rule, so whichever candidate wins the highest number of votes is awarded all of the state's electoral college votes. It is possible for a candidate to win the most votes nationally like Hillary Clinton did in 2016, but still be defeated by the electoral college. Well, who else is being elected? All of the attention will be on who wins the presidency, but voters will also be choosing new members of Congress where laws are passed. Entertainment now. Ghanaian reggae and dancehall star Stonebwoy has once again declared himself the rightful winner of the 2019 Ghana Music Awards Artist of the Year, despite the award never being officially presented. In a recent interview on the Portfolio's podcast with MC Portfolio, Stonebwoy confidently defended his claim, citing his achievements and challenging anyone who disagrees to step forward. The 2019 awards were marred by controversy following a physical altercation between Stonebwoy and Shatta Wale, leading to the Artist of the Year title being withheld. However, Stonebwoy remains unwavering in his belief that he is the rightful winner, insisting that he is now a 3-time TGMA Artist of the Year. Before we wrap up the bulletin, let's take a recap of our top stories. Thank you for staying with us. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media handles at ABC News Ghana. I am Jennifer Sumwa. Good afternoon.